Good morning. My name is Georgie Newbery. I'm a flower farmer and florist based between fashionable Bruton and up-and-coming Wincanton here in grey, miserable, wet, dreich, as my ancestors would describe it, southeast Somerset in England. And I am thrumming my fingers, waiting for the tulip bulb order to arrive. They were dispatched almost a week ago and are due to arrive as per the email from the couriers between 12:45 and 1:45 this afternoon. So you can see behind me, you probably can't see actually, in the distance is a great big empty space, because when they arrive I'll have to sort them all out and get ready to plant them as quickly as I possibly can. So while I'm waiting, tick tock, it is 11:25, and I have a friend who I've been making some flower arrangements for. You've seen them in the previous clips. Who's been building an extraordinary house in the village, and it's been being filmed for the telly box. And they're lovely, lovely people, and I want to make them a housewarming present. So while I wait for the tulip bulbs, I'm going to make an everlasting wreath with dried material. As you can see behind me, it's all prepared, and I thought you might like to come along for the ride. If you enjoy these clips, please subscribe. There's a subscription button somewhere, and press the bell icon and we will tell you when we've got more clips. If you find the tips and tricks I give you as we go along useful, then please do buy me a coffee. There's a link in all the blurbs for all the different clips for coffee buying. Obviously you're not buying me a real coffee. It's just a contribution and a reassurance for me that people are interested in these clips and that I should make more. And luckily, enough of you buy them, these imaginary coffees, that I'm very much encouraged. So thank you very much to all of you who've bought in the past, and thank you to those of you who buy today. Right, better get on, otherwise those bulbs will arrive and I'll have never made my wreath. Let's have a look at the ingredients first. Now, I'm going to use as my base very, very thin strips of willow, and because I want to make a very delicate little thing. I don't want the willow to be a big deal. We make perfect willow circles. So if you're interested in learning how to make perfect willow circles, I will admit I do see around the place other willow wreaths which are not as good, are clearly made by people who've never been on a workshop that I've taught. If you are interested in making perfect willow circles, because they do make lovely, lovely colour and they hang really beautifully on the wall, then I have a willow wreath workshop coming up. So you can book that through my website. Anyway, so the willow is going to be the base. And then I've got lots of bits of dried material that I've saved over the summer. This is Scabiosa ping pong, which basically people grow for the seed heads, and they dry really beautifully. These are Allium Purple Sensation, dry beautifully. This is some of my gorgeous grass that you've all seen me use a lot recently. Over the back here, personal favourite of mine, the shoe fly plant, or Nicandra physiloides, if you like a bit of Latin, which I grow specially to dry, and I have it self-sown in my tunnel every year, and I keep it for my winter wreaths. This is a really, really pretty little sea holly, and I got it at a village plant sale, so I don't even have the name of it, but it's a small size. It's really, really useful and much less prickly to deal with than any of those ghosts that you may have, the big ones that fill up the border and do look amazing, but will shred your hands. The lovely, oh God, my brain's gone. I can't remember what it's called. I'll tell you what it's called as I make it. But I grow this again, especially to dry. Very useful. Statice, there you go. This is a white one. It comes in pink, yellow, blue, all sorts. This is Honesty. And this is actually from my friend Anne, who has an Honesty which makes these lovely shapes when it sets the seed. And I'll show you as we go along. I've got you some Honesty, and I'm going to just show you how you make it go from this to silver, because a lot of you will know this, but not everybody. Then I've got some dried flowers from the summer, it's weirdly, in the summer they look terrible, and now in the winter light they look like heaven. So I'm going to be happily using these. Helichrysum, dried Nigella seed heads. Again, in the summer they look absolutely terrible, but now they look kind of interesting, and I like, and look how the actual flower heads have dried really nicely. Little pale blue there. And then always for me, in an everlasting wreath, a bit of limonium or sea lavender will go a long way. So those are my ingredients. And before I do anything else, I'm going to show you how to turn this honesty into something silvery like this. So look, see the honesty? Really simple. You can see all the seeds inside. And if you want to make it silvery, you click. Always pick one that doesn't work. If you go to the end of the stem, rather than trying to do this from this end, do it from where the seed head joins the stem. You see it against my apron there. And you just push a little bit, and the papery covering starts to unfurl. And look, there are the seeds. And you have to do it on both sides. And there, my friends, is a beautiful silvery circle. Sorry, you've got my chin in most of that, but it's important that you can see what I'm doing. So it's easy. You end up sort of clicking open each layer. And then you can keep the seeds. I just chuck them outside. When I'm sowing them because I want them for next year, then I do that properly. But by now I've done plenty. I've got seed coming out of my ears. So when I have seed, honesty seed like this, then I take it out into the woods, into what we call the lugful here, and I just chuck it, and it comes or not, depending on its mood. There you go. That's how you do that. Easy peasy. So I've taken my 3 little strands of willow and I've made a little circle. If you want to learn how to make these perfect circles so that you can make Christmas wreaths with, or just willow circles, they're so magical, then come on my willow wreath workshop in a week or so. You'll have to check the website to see when it is. This is much lighter than the circles I make for Christmas. This is very delicate. And it's also quite little. My Christmas ones are bigger, but it's just right to be, I don't want anything too heavy because all that dried material is very, very light. And I want it to look like I want it to look as though it would blow away in a puff of wind. So I'm making a very light thing. So that's my base. And now we're going to make some little posies to attach to it. So I've got my base. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little handful of material and make long posies. When I say long posies, I'm not making posies like you would if you're making a bunch of flowers. I'm making posies that work their way down the stem. Look. Each stem adding a little bit to each posy. I want it to look light. And so I'm not, and I can go on and go on and go on. I can make a garland going like this. But actually I'm going to make posies because I can then add them all together and they'll all tie on really nicely. The circle that they're going to tie on isn't really there to do anything except for make sure that the garland I make is solid, is a solid circle, to keep it a good shape. It's not there to show off. It's if you wanted to, obviously I do everything in 100% biodegradable, which is why I'm tying up with raffia. If you wanted to, you could use a wire frame. That's why wire frames are used, because they're perfect circles. I don't use wire frames. I use wood or twigs always as a base because it does exactly the same job. but is also biodegradable and is not using up natural resources, because as florists I think we have to be very careful. That's sweet, isn't it? Tell you, that make a really nice like a place name thing. The other thing you could book on is my Christmas tablescape workshop, which will, I hope, amuse, which is just before Christmas, and I'm going to dress a table with foraged bits and pieces, so that might be fun to book on before we all take a Christmas break. Anyway, so I'm going to make lots of those, and then I'll show you how I attach them to my circle. I don't expect you to sit and watch me make 20 of these. So go and make a cup of tea, and I'll see you in a minute. So I've made all my posies, and I've held them, sort of laid them on my wreath to see if I've got enough and if it's going to be long enough, and I have, and they are. And I'm now tying them together in a little row. So they're going to make a garland. It's really very simple. If you again come on my proper wreathing workshops, and you'll see this in detail, but I can't do it. If I did all this on my YouTube things would be 4.5 hours long, and poor old my cousin Matthew would just despair. Anyway, so I'm tying them in a row, and then I'm going to attach them to my little wreath. But look, there's pretty, isn't that? You see? Very pretty. I like it. So I've made my little garland. There it is. And I'm going to now attach it to my little circle, and we'll see how it comes out. I'm just sort of sewing it on with raffia. Very simple, like this. Just sew it through. Again, you see this in great detail on my workshops, but you know, you've got to do some fun stuff on the YouTube too. And there it is, all finished. I have left, in the end, I always do, a bit of the willow, because I really think it's very pretty, and it'll dry slowly. I like the golden colour of it. I have tied a little loop of just of raffia, more raffia, so that it can be hung up somewhere. And though I sew it myself. That's a really nice little project for the weekend. If anybody fancies making something and you've got dried material that you've been saving, or your garden is full of good seed heads that you could have a play with, then see if you can make yourself a little everlasting wreath. And this is going to be put in a little box, and with some tissue paper and a happy housewarming for my friend. There we go. Right, now I would really like it if, as I finish, in drives the van with the 4,500 tulip bulbs. Not yet. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this clip. If you have, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon, and we'll let you know when there are new clips coming out. And do, if you've learned something useful, buy me a coffee. And if you want to know more about wreathing, particularly, I have to say, I do see, especially this time of year, I suddenly see all these really terrible willow wreaths, which is not people's fault, but it is fiddly making a willow wreath. And there are some useful skills which I can share with you. So if you'd like to learn to make really good willow wreaths, then join my class in the next week or so. All the details on my website, and have fun having a go of making something like this weekend. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye. And now here's a really top tip. A wreath is never finished until you've hung it up, because then you see where the bald patches are, and you can just fill them up. Pudge is a word we use here. So here's the pudged wreath, and the DPD van has just reversed into the yard. So I'm going to get on and sort out those bulbs and start planting. Have a good day, everybody.